morning, Facebook. Hope everybody is well on this lovely Wednesday morning. It is a beautiful day here in Drogheda. In fact, it's been probably a beautiful 5 weeks now, maybe 6 weeks. It's been so good. I can't remember the last time we had a summer this good. Hope everybody is well. We've got some good questions today, some tricky ones for me, which is always good. And it's going to be a fun one. Here's to all the young people in Ireland starting their junior certificate and leaving certificate exams this morning. They probably kicked off probably just about now, I'd say, actually. So best of luck to all of them. I don't envy you. I wouldn't want to be in your position. But the most important thing is you've done the work. You can't do anything else now. Just try and get downtime and try and get some relaxation. So if you're the parent of a child who's doing the exams, do make sure that they're not cramming themselves into a bedroom with books over the next few weeks, because there is no point in trying to push yourself and push in extra information. Just make sure you get your downtime, get your relaxation in, and make sure that you get your exercise and good food into you. It's really important. So anyway, let's crack on with the questions that we have today. My son and daughter have started lying about little things, not major issues, but just things like brushing their teeth or doing their chores around the house. It doesn't happen all the time, and they're pretty good kids. It just frustrates me so much when I know they're lying. Any suggestions? Kids lying, huh? It's one of those things that every child does. Doesn't mean it's not annoying as a parent. Doesn't mean it doesn't wind you up when everything you're doing is trying to teach them to be responsible, honest young people and adults. So look, it's a real issue. It's a real issue without being an issue, and it's about trying to nip it in the bud so that it doesn't become an issue. And I suppose one of the big things is we have to look at, people sometimes think about putting boundaries and consequences in place for our kids as a punitive thing, as something that has to be done to give out to them, but it doesn't. What it's actually doing is it's teaching them about the world that we live in and how to live in this world in a kind of productive and structured way that keeps them safe and everybody else safe. So things like brushing teeth and doing their chores, to a lot of people they might say, well, it's not a major issue, and in the grand scheme of things it's not a major issue. But if it's becoming a pattern where they're not participating in looking after their oral health or their mental health or physical health, or even just doing their bit around the house, then those little things always add up to a bigger frustration. And that's when you find yourself as a parent maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks down the line just exploding, and that's it. Kids, you're in big trouble, and you end up putting a much, much bigger, more difficult consequence to implement in place because you're so frustrated because it's been going on for a certain amount of time. And if we look at the cycle of conflict, so we have the pre-conflict where there's something that gives us a reason for a conflict, like continual lying. Then we have the triggering event, so something that causes it. Then we have the argument, and then we have the resolution. And we as the adults can stop that before it even starts by putting the boundary in place. So you must brush your teeth, and if you don't, this is the consequence for it. And then we keep on top of it. So even if you have to stand over your kids, and it doesn't matter if they're 8, 9, 10, 11, and watch them brush their teeth, you're letting them know that we're not just going to let you away with this, that we're going to actually stand over you until you can actually do it. Because sometimes we get to the point as parents where we say to ourselves, I shouldn't have to stand over them and watch them brush their teeth at 9 or 10 years of age. And that's absolutely true. You shouldn't have to stand over them. But if they're not doing it, well, then we do have to make sure that they do it. So for the short while, we need to do it until they get fed up of us and they think it's not worth having mom or dad standing over me watching me brush my teeth, until they get to the point where they can just say, I'll do it. I don't need you here. I promise I'm not going to do it. Now, the other thing to remember is our kids are kids. They're not mini adults. So it's not like they're going to be told something once and they're going to just get it and that's it sorted for the rest of their lives. There will be for quite a few things, but in some cases there won't be. So it's important that we don't go over the top where, and every parent has done it. I've done it myself, where I'm standing there in my own head, I'm saying to myself, how many times do I have to say it to you? How many times do you have to be told? But sometimes kids have to be told more times than we would expect them to be told. So give them that bit of leeway, that bit of room to kind of say, it's okay for them to make a mistake. It's okay for them to mess up. It's okay for them to lie sometimes. That's okay. But we just need to put the boundaries in place and make sure that the consequences are consequences that will actually have an impact on them before it gets to a point where we're exploding and saying, like, that's it, you're losing your screen time for the next 6 weeks, because that's just not practical. What's going to happen is 3, 4, 5 days in, we're going to say, well, you're doing my head in. Have you learned your lesson? Okay, there you go. And what they've actually learned is that 3 or 4 days of bugging mum or dad is actually going to get the consequence done and dusted. So that's what they're going to do. So basically what I'm saying to you is, put the boundary in place. You must brush your teeth, you must get your chores done. And if you have to stand over them and watch them do it and make sure that they do it right, well, do that. And look, it's a pain. It's an absolute pain. And not something you should have to do, but it's your job. And if it means having to get up 5, 10, 15 minutes earlier in the morning to make sure that the stuff gets done, well, do it. Because what it will do is it'll ultimately stop the arguments before they even start. And then look at the consequences that you have for your kids. Are they actually having an impact? And if they're not, we'll change them. And then you can use them for a while until they stop working. But that's okay. That's normal and natural. Kids grow up, kids move on. So it's okay to change your consequence as they get older. Hope that one helps. Hey Jennifer, good to see you. Wayne, hope you're keeping well, mate. Hope all is well. Right, second question. My son is smoking weed in his bedroom every night. He stays up till all hours and just doesn't listen to us at all. He stopped taking part in his sports and definitely doesn't study at all. He's starting his state exams this week, which is probably today. We're at an absolute loss as to what to do. I think that one is something that a lot of parents worry about on a regular basis, with a teenager, because smoking weed is just such a normal part of everyday life for a lot of teenagers, but it's not for every teenager. And some teenagers will try it and then grow out of it, and that's just the normal way of things. But I suppose none of us can take the chance that our child will be the one that won't grow out of it and that will escalate in their drug taking. And the other side of it is, do you have other children in the house? Are they being impacted by your son smoking weed, by your son staying up late all night? Is he keeping them awake? Is there a smell of weed in your house? Never mind the legal side of things, where if the police walked into your house for any particular reason and walked into a bedroom, are they going to find a big bag of weed? And then there's the practical sides of, what if he falls asleep smoking a joint? It probably won't happen. But how many times do we hear of people falling asleep smoking a cigarette or whatever, and then there is flames? And that's what we don't want to have happen. Okay, so it's, forgetting about or putting aside the fact that he's not taking part in his sports. Let's just deal with this one first off, because you can't deal with everything, right? You need to look at what the boundaries are in your house and what are the consequences. Has he got a PlayStation or an Xbox or a console? Has he got a laptop? Has he got a phone? Has he got a tablet? Are all these things in his house and allowing him and giving him a reason to stay up at night? If they are, you need to take control of that and take them away from him until he learns that it's not okay to do this. I would say also, if it's getting really bad, maybe ring your local police or your local Gardaí. Absolutely, ring them and get them to come up and have a conversation with them. If you need extra supports, get them. Is he involved in a youth club? Is he involved with a sports club that he looks up to the person? Get them involved and try and look at building supports around him. So it's not just all about you putting boundaries and consequences in place, that you're actually getting extra supports that will help him, so that he can turn around to the other people and say, I hate my parents, they're doing my head in. But at least he's participating and speaking about things with the people around him. But definitely, it's never okay to smoke in a bedroom. And if you're worried about it, I've suggested in the past that people take the door off the hinges because there's nothing worse than not having privacy for a teenager. Now, other people have laughed at me and said, well, that's, invading their privacy, or what about them? What about your house? What about your family? Like, we have to do what we have to do. Now, that's an extreme case, and most parents won't want to do it, but it's worked in the past for some people that I've suggested to. So why not do it? If you're worried about what's happening behind the bedroom door, it's your house. It's a former colleague of mine once said that my kids are just lodgers, and I give them a free bed and free food until the day they move out. And I thought that was really interesting. And he tells them this, so they kind of will slag him off. But there's a certain point where this is your house. You are in control of it. You're absolutely in control of it. And if you aren't, if he's running the house, well, then you need to look at getting that control back by putting boundaries in place, and maybe going to the point of getting external people involved to help you do this. The flip side of that then is that you start to get the people that he looks up to. So be it sports coaches, be it mentors, could be teachers even, who may be willing to come and give a hand. They can start to have those conversations around, okay, well, what are you actually looking to do? What is it that you want moving forward? Now, a lot of teenagers live in the moment. Most kids live in the moment. All they think about is now. They're not thinking about the future. So there's no point in sitting down with your son saying, what are you going to do with your life? What job are you going to get? He doesn't care. That's not what he's even thinking about. But if you start to pare it back and say, okay, if you want to go on holidays, if you want to do X, Y, and Z right now, or in this summer when you've finished, you need to go get a job, and you need to start contributing to the household financially. It's okay to do this. It's absolutely okay to do this. And then what you can do is start to look at his sports and activities and say, right, you need to do an activity. You pick what it is. It doesn't matter what it is, but you have to do at least one activity in this house. And if you don't, there's a consequence. So you have to look at your child. I could give you 20, 30, 40 consequences, but they may not be applicable to your child, so you know best. But what I will say is that getting him involved in some sort of activity where he has no choice, and if he doesn't like it, well, then he can pick another one, but he's not giving up until he starts the other one. And if it means he goes through 10, 15, 20 over the course of the summer, so be it, but he has to be doing something. And then the exams. Maybe if he's doing no work, he's the one that has to live with it, not you. Now, that one is really, really difficult for parents to actually take on board and put up with, because it means that you have to stand back and allow natural consequences to kick in for your child. And natural consequences are really difficult for parents, but it's part of life. If I don't go to work, I have to deal with the consequence of getting the sack. If I don't pay my bills, I have to, put up with the natural consequence of my electricity getting cut off, my house getting repossessed. This is life. So maybe he's not done any study, and maybe he fails his state exams, and maybe he's the one that has to live with it. No matter how bad you feel about your child not doing well and not studying, they're going to feel a million times worse. And if they don't, that's their issue. They may come back in 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 years' time and say, oh, you should have made me do X, Y, and Z. But they are their own person. They might look to blame you, but it was their choice. They had the choice to study. They didn't study. And that's just life. Maybe your child won't go to college. Maybe they'll become a highly successful business person. Who knows? But sometimes natural consequences have to kick in. So if they're not going to study, well, then that's okay. You let them not study, and they have to deal with the consequences. But they're not just going to lay around all day, every day, when they're finished school in your house, that they have to go get a job. It's that simple. It's very, very hard. And I know I'm saying this, and some people might say it's quite flippant, but it's not. It's about, we need to show our kids this is the boundary. We're not going to let them go too far. So we're not just going to let you sit around all day. We need to take that, I suppose, that role of the parent. Okay? Jennifer, what are you saying? Probably varies from child to child and how old the child is, right? Guess you're talking about kids between 14. Yeah, so sorry. For those of you not in Ireland, the state exams are at 15 years of age and then 17, 18 years of age as well. We're not talking about 5-year-olds here. So we're not making them go work right now. Or maybe we should. No. Anyway, next one. Our son has moved home after finishing college and has got his first job. We're all finding it tough at the moment, as he keeps telling us that we can't tell him what to do, what time to be home and so on, as he's an adult. But he still expects his dinner and laundry done for him. How do we get the balance that works for everyone? Oh, isn't that great, isn't it? You can't tell me what to do, but will you do my laundry for me? Will you cook my dinner for me? This is actually something that is quite prevalent now because it's so expensive for people to get their own place, and especially when they're starting out, they don't necessarily have the deposits, they don't have maybe the monthly income that can support them to live outside of the home. And it's really important that we as parents start to look at them as adults, because they actually are. They are actual adults. So it's really important that we give them that responsibility to say, okay, it's not up to us to tell you what time you need to be home or how to behave and so on. But they're living under your roof. So if they want to live like an adult, they have to act like an adult, where they do take care of their own food, they do take care of their own laundry. Now, a lot of parents will say, well, sure, I'm cooking for myself and my husband or any other kids that are in the house, or my wife. So it's no skin off my nose to actually just cook for one more person. And if that's okay with you, that's fine. But look at the other things then. Look at the laundry. Look at the contribution. Should they be paying towards light and heat? And again, people will say, yeah, but they're my child, and I want them to be able to save the money. Sometimes it's not about the actual money. It doesn't matter if you use the money. If you just put it away and then give it to them when they're moving out, it doesn't matter. It's the process for them to contribute to the household, because they are an adult. They are no longer a child. So it is okay for you to have the expectations that I'm not going to tell you what to do, and that can be hard. If you've got a 20, 21, 22-year-old falling in the door at 2 a.m, that can be frustrating. And maybe you do need to deal with something about respect if one of you is having to get up for work the next morning, or if there are younger siblings coming down the stairs and there's someone flat out in the hall floor the next morning. That's something different. But it is about trying to get that balance and have the conversation and sit down, right? Just sit down as adults and say, right, how are we going to make this work? How are we going to get everybody working to the same tune so that we can all make this work as best as possible? Okay, so it's just about as best as possible. And then decide, okay, well, on a Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to cook for everybody, or you're going to help to prepare dinner. You're going to make your own lunch. You're going to do your own laundry. And if you don't know how to do it, I'll help you. I'll show you. But it's important that you contribute to this household. And then even if they're only giving you 20, 30, 40, 50 euro a week, whatever it might be, take the money off them. It's about that process. Like I say, if you don't need it, put it aside and then give it to them when they're moving out, so they can buy furniture, food, whatever it might be. So sit down though, treat them as an adult and allow them to participate in the household as well, and give them the boundaries of your house as well, because okay, they may be an adult, but they're not. It's not their house. So if something's upsetting you so much, try and figure out a way to make it work for both of you. Okay. Last one for today. I was recently looking for a photo of my daughter, and I fell into a black hole of old photos from when all my kids were small. Why do we never print out our photos anymore? I was only having this conversation with somebody at the weekend. Isn't it amazing? That's what it was. It was old photographs from my grandparents and their siblings that we found when we're clearing out a house. And it was lovely to see. It was lovely to see all the different people in our family who were that bit younger, and it was fascinating. But it's right. We don't print them out anymore, so they're all sitting on a phone, on a computer, on a cloud drive, on a hard drive, whatever it might be. All right, everybody, why not go and make a photo album for your kids? It may be one photo per year, it may be 2 photos per year, but just go and do it and print them out and create a photo album. How nice would that be to be able to give to your adult kids and say, this is you from the moment you're in my belly to the moment you're leaving this house. So do it. We don't print them out. We just leave them there, and then we find them. And we've all done it. We've all fallen into that black hole of flicking through photographs. And you might be saying there, Alan, we have thousands and thousands of photographs. Doesn't matter. Just pick 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you want, and just make an actual photo album. Print them out and give them to your kids. It's a lovely idea, and it's something that they'll be able to take away with them forever, and maybe they might do it themselves, even with all their selfies. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Just over 20 minutes. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Oh, I do want to let you know, for those of you in Ireland or with transport into Ireland, we do have 2 parenting programs coming up on the 7th of July in Dublin. The first one is a general parenting skills program, which gives you practical techniques that you can actually take away and start from day one, and looking at, I suppose, dealing with conflict, how to set boundaries and what realistic boundaries you might put in place. But the most important of all is how to communicate with your family in a more positive way without people getting angry and frustrated. That one works for all ages because the skills are easily implementable with the different age groups that we have. So that's opening up on the 7th of July. And then the other one is one of our busier ones, unfortunately, fortunately, but it's for parenting after separation or divorce. And this one focuses on those parenting skills as well that we have, but it also focuses on how to parent as a single parent, and whether you're the resident parent or the non-resident parent, it helps you build up a routine and a new routine for yourself and your family, because it is a new routine, and put those boundaries in place so that you're not just the fun parent that does all the fun stuff, that you do take responsibility for the other side of parenting, the discipline, the homework, the washing of uniforms and stuff like that. So both of those are on the same day, 7th of July. If you want to book a place, you can book it directly on helpmetoparent.ie. Help me, the number 2 parent.ie, and at the very top of the page there's a book now. I'll also put a link underneath here in the comments where you can follow the link and book. These one-day courses cost €130 for the day. That's it. You get a full pack of handouts. You also get a certificate for participation that is accepted by the Irish court system, so it is beneficial for those of you maybe who are going through a separation through the courts. This one is accepted. So that's it. That's my plug. Probably my first ever plug, I think. But yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.